Hello. I thought of making this a little differently this time, this video. I will try to record it during my gym session to hit two birds in a stone, so to say. And I will edit out a lot of stuff except for the talk. So let's see how the video becomes. So yeah, that is what's going on. Because I'm not a real good multitasker. So there will be times when I think, but I cut away and things, yeah, whatever. Open it up here for the spring air. I have nothing against winter air either, to be honest, except for when they burn fires so that I get this poisonous smoke. But I want to talk about 6 ways to never get sick today. There will be five ways that I sort of pretty quickly go over that are partly rumorous, like a rumor, and partly, or in many cases, not scientifically proven, and that stuff, but still worth mentioning because of my own experience and from what I've read about and met people and that stuff. Yeah, I realize you will probably not see any rep because of my editing out of the silences, but that's fine. You're not here for the workout. You're here for knowing what the F I'm talking about what do I mean by never getting sick. Well, what it means to me is, well, literally to being able to naturally avoid flus, colds, that stuff that people spread to each other during the year. And for me personally, what it means is also from my history of being very much often having colds. Started when I was 10 maybe, and all the way up to like 21, then started to decrease when I did some certain stuff that I would go over. But now I'm 33, and I think, yeah, it was last year that the most random but greatest realization in all of this came to me after, like, what is it, 20 years of trying to figure that out. And truth be told, I haven't had a cold for over a year, like soon 1.5 year. When I was, like I said, during from being 21, it started to get better. But then, anyways, I got like 2 real colds a year maybe, which is fine. It's natural, I guess, and we shouldn't demonize being cold, getting colds, because that is then already too late, because what it means when you get it is that you need to clean out stuff. So you should never stop the cleaning. It is better to prevent. That is one thing I can mention right away, I guess. This is like, and I should make a disclaimer early on, because yeah, I'm not a doctor and all that stuff, and what you hear now is for entertainment purposes, or what you should say. But I read in a book, and that is pretty extreme, and one of the ways is drawn from that book, one of the 6 ways today, but to never get sick again. But there they said that what medicine really does to the human body in most cases, like medicine from the medical industries, is to poison us, but for the reason of just doing it enough so that the body stops detoxifying. Because detoxifying will look like symptoms for us. That is what symptoms are in most cases, and if not all. Where it's too late, like I said, you need to do the cleaning once you get symptoms. So the medicine comes in and distracts the process so that the symptom stops. Because now we need to focus on the poison here. It is higher priority. Therefore, the symptoms stop, and we believe and we experienced, and the symptoms stop. That means I'm healed. But anyways, that was just a quick non-doctor anecdote. What's going on here? Let's go. I don't have much space here, but what do you do? What to do? So let's get into one of the 6 then. The first, let's say, alright, let's go with Kambo. The frog from Amazon or Amazonas jungle. No personal experience there, just a rumor. But when I was around 21 and I was starting to work at a raw food cafe, there was a colleague there who had experienced it. And he told me about that when you have injected, or what is you do, you cut yourself like an emo, and then you put in, you drop a little bit of that poison. And again, a lot of health risks here. This is not financial advice. Just rumors for fun on not getting sick, and there are some curiosities to it, and for you to, if interested, dig into deeper and do the full researches if you're gonna try any of these. But apparently that frog's poison would work like an ultimate vaccine of a natural kind that just first make you so sick. And people take that before ayahuasca, the plant medicine, the psychedelic one. Psychedelic 3, psychedelic 4. And they take it for cleansing purposes. They vomit so that it's fully clean, and then can be a more purified vessel for the ayahuasca spirit, I suppose. And then people have reported a lot of immunity after that for a long while. And what do we have next? We can take the Wim Hof Method. And again, this is, well, I shouldn't have to say this on everyone, but it just should just have been enough to make the disclaimer in the beginning. But I'm doing it the last time here, that do your research before, if ever, trying any of these, because all of these 5 are pretty extreme that I'm gonna begin with. But the Wim Hof Method, he's doing a lot of cold exposure and breath work, where it's similar to hyperventilation. Wim Hof himself and some trained students of his has done an experiment where they injected into their bloodstream some toxin that was similar to a virus or bacteria, but it was not that, but it was gonna give them flu-like symptoms anyways. But with their system, like their trained immune system from the breathwork and the cold exposure, apparently it just did nothing to them, those supposedly poisonous things that enter the bloodstream. And I think if you ask him when he was sick the last time, it was probably never or forever ago. On the personal experience side there, I have just done it a little bit, the breath work. I haven't gotten to the cold work. It is something that I want to do in the future, because I have this issue for a long time where my ears are so cold, and then therefore I can just go a little while before I sort of, or now I haven't tried, it's just a habit because I had hats for so many years now. But before, at least, I frequently got sort of ear infection. But that's on my list to try, and maybe the last method that I will go over today. I have thought about it that I should make a try with this one but on the Wim Hof Method, I didn't really enjoy, or well, I got high from the breathwork in the beginning, but then I realized I got a bit stressed from it. It didn't really work with my at the time. So the third one is gonna be, or was that the fourth? I think third is gonna be a little, quick one, funny one, but it's kind of controversial, I guess, but that is, don't eat anything healthy. Don't eat vegetables, don't eat fruit. And I know that a lot of, especially men, could testify to this, that, yeah, I'm never sick and I don't eat that crap. There are different ways to explain how that works then. And I think the most closest to scientific, but the science is not recommending this at all, but that is because of some reports in like the carnivore communities. They have found that these foods can be inflammatory for the digestion and stuff. But the fate that nobody or not many talks about, that is connected a little bit about the little rumor or theory that I said about the medicine in the beginning. It is that when you never eat anything healthy or anything detoxifying, you won't get any symptoms. But that also means that you won't clean out your body anytime. So that is not good for the future. It's probably when it's sort of fully full in a system of that crap that you never detoxified and thought you were healthy because of that, it might hit you on like a truck sooner or later. And then, speaking of carnivores and stuff, there are, what I know specifically, typically 3 extreme diets that have a lot of reports of no sickness, no illness due to it. And those are the raw vegan or raw food diets. I guess some who eat raw meat can report similarly. Yeah, and then the carnivores is like on the fully other side of raw vegan spectra, but just like extreme leftists and extreme rightists sort of meet in a way of extremeness where it's all of a sudden seems pretty similar. And the third extreme diet is the mucusless diet, which is, yeah, it's vegan, but it sort of includes some extra stuff that raw fooders don't eat, but excludes some stuff that raw fooders do eat. And I have mostly experienced the mucusless diet. It is sort of fruitarian, to be honest, with a little sweet potato if you want, and some other stuff, but it is basically no protein. It's kind of extreme. And I was eating that way at a school with a lot of sick kids and sick colleagues, and I was completely immune for that half a year. Could have been coincidence, but no, like usually I would have gotten infected as well. But I could just have kids coughing at my face and it didn't do anything. And their theory is that the mucus is what we clean out when we get sick. So being sick is really a blessing if we have mucus, but it's pretty preventive to not make any mucus then. So yeah, and that's pretty extreme, and it's pretty radical to not have any protein. That's, well, yeah, it's not scientifically proven or anything like that, but I know people who thrive on it. So, but I guess it's about blood type as well. So carnivore, raw food, and mucusless diet. I guess there are more like breatharian, liquidarian, all those also fall under the category of extreme diets, which if you talk to them or look at them, they probably very rarely get ill, except for when they cheat, which can be a problem in itself, because yeah, you need to live that way strictly, and you sort of are immune, but then you're also super sensitive to most other things. Not to mention the social aspect. You really need to sort of join a cult if you don't want to be lonely when you eat. So the fifth one, in my opinion, would be 24/7 fresh air. And this is mostly a theory online. But experientially, I have noticed increased health by sleeping with an open window. Looking back at the days when I ate sort of not good, but I was working outside as a carpenter for the whole days, and I felt pretty immune to stuff. Could have had to do with sleeping early, waking early, get a lot of sunlight direct. But there is something to say and to dig into if you're interested in these kind of things when it comes to fresh air and how people are inside too much, and there are studies pointing at that indoor air can be a lot of times, or it's said like 2 to 5 times more polluted or bad than fresh air. And with this in mind, though, it is pretty annoying when you then notice that there's so much air pollution. Like even in normal clean air cities and places, people pollute themselves and others by smoking or having softeners with perfume and washing machine perfume. Even cars are getting perfumed in their car washes nowadays. What the hell? And yeah, not to mention on winters when people make fires in their stoves. And what people don't know is that, like, if it feels like smokers don't know that their smoke is finding their way into people's windows for some reason. And the same goes for smoke from the fireplaces, especially if you are sitting in a cellar and you have a window open. It just has to go through there, apparently. And when people have a lot of softeners and they enter a home where people are allergic, they don't know that it's kinda or fully literally bombing up walls, like all the furniture and all the clothes with those particles that are designed to stick forever, it seems. And one positive thing from EU regulations, I surprised that I can't find one, but that is a decision or a suggestion or a decision of banning those chemicals that are designed to stick. But anyways, that is a clean air, and I think we could have so much more health if people went back to the basics of nature like that. So then we have arrived at the 6th, which is the real topic here, or the insight that I wanted to share as well as I can, as concise as I can. So personally, I have been all over the place, especially since I was 18 and had enough of being sick whenever I worked out or anything. I was probably burned out early on from too much pressure from school and ice hockey. And as a sensitive person or soul or something, I couldn't handle it so well. And there's a lot to it. But first thing I tried, which wasn't for health reasons really, back then when I was 16, was going vegetarian. Didn't change anything with my health other than I lost 10 to 20 kilos of muscle, but I also stopped working out for a year there in high school. The second thing I tried was removing sugar. One of the best decisions, I guess, guys. I still live by that, because when I have had exceptions, it goes back to, it just sticks in my thyroids and it sort of needs to get out quickly. The poison needs to be detoxed. And the body will use resources, and I will be feeling ill a little bit to get that out of my system. And it steals some energy and time that's unnecessary. And we're speaking days that it's stolen from that. And I've grown to really, now it was a really long time ago since I missed normal sugar. It's such a overrated taste. It's more of an addiction, really, when you know that fruit is, and everything gets so much sweeter when you stop with with refined sugar. So really, fruits become super satisfying taste wise. Then I tried with all full grain as well. Full grain pasta and rice didn't do shit. I thought, or well, something it probably did. But then I did a fast. Um, I did a 21-day fast, which was 2 days water, 9 days green juice, which was awful, by the way. In its taste, I don't like green juices, truth be told. Especially I hate lemon and celery. Oh my god. That taste combo. People love it, I don't. Hell no. So the fast sort of cleaned me up real good. And I reached a new threshold there where I kept the routine of having always a smoothie as a first thing. And this smoothie was only fruit and leafy greens, nothing else, and water. So that kept me very healthy for a long time. And my sweat didn't even smell anymore under my arms for a long while. But a fast is not a lifestyle and a never get sick thing, because you can't fast all life, or I guess some people do, and therefore you can't. But it's not for everyone. And with me, at least now, when I want to build my body. And I think I always want to build my body along with my spirit and my everything. But then I've experimented with continuing with raw food and did some carnivore. It was cool. But then I couldn't stand living off animal fat. It was pretty intense. And the mucusless diet, pretty cool, but hey. So I sort of found a pretty balanced diet in the end. I should probably have waited with legs towards the end of the session so that I don't have to be such a knocked out speaker during the. But anyways, shit happens. I have already begun here. But yeah, the diet that I'm pretty much on now is sort of very simple, very balanced. I have called it. Well, I am not on this that I was gonna say. But for a while I was also on something I call the hunter-gatherer diet. Whereas I wanted to combine the two extremists of the only fruit camp and the only meat camp. So why not eat fruit on the mornings and meat on the evening, sort of. So that feels pretty powerful, but still I felt I needed to balance it up a little bit more even. So I have added, I also eat sweet potato, which is maybe combining these three. Because the mucus diet has the sweet potato. These three extremes that I went over, diets. So that's a combination maybe. Well, and then I have exceptions. I have some normal potato and pasta sometimes, and you know. But the point is that it's not so much with the diet, this insight, but I can't take away from the fact that I'm very restrictive with chemicals at all. Sugar, starch, and milk, dairy. So I guess that has to be taken into account. And that was only the first set. I hate working out both legs like separately because there's literally double the steps. And taken into account also that I live an averagely, or I mean in generally above average, I would say then, but nonetheless, I mean I have very healthy routines. I have a healthy lifestyle. I don't drink. I don't eat sugar and that stuff, like I said. And very rarely I eat processed food. And I eat every nutrient-based stuff, and I take, or except for those milk and that stuff. And I take supplements, superfoods, and I have walks daily, long walks, and I work out regularly. I don't sleep very well yet. That is still on my list to fix. I had a good night's sleep tonight. So finally, I will reveal. It was crazy when I realized this. I had some hints a couple of years ago where I was on another fast that was 40 days of juice at the end of my mucusless half year. So I was super skinny, super clean also. And I was intending on really going all the way with raw foods. That was why I did the fast, so that because I was promised from an influencer, which probably was kind of true, that it would be easier to absorb than raw foods there. But I ended the fast and I ended the diet because I realized that more about spiritual heart opening things, connection, where I prefer other spiritual paths than isolating myself culturally through not participating in the shared ceremonies that we have daily with loved ones, which is normal food. But on that era, or connected to that realization, was that I sort of needed to chill more. I had lack of endorphins because I was thinking too much about what I ate, and that could cause itself for IBS and bad digestion, which has been my guide for, well, since I did the first fast, to be honest. When my health changed to the better, I also got IBS, which sort of I felt like an ally. I still do. It is an ally to point to me like, yeah, you can't eat this because this is disrupting something. Sometimes it's good to listen to that. But I went back then after the fast to eat anything that was served on the school that I worked on. It was so tasty, especially the sauce, and I just went ham but with the norm core all of a sudden, and the first month there I got ill 2 times for like a week each, and it was on, and I was sort of realizing that I couldn't go all out after an all in, so I started to balance it out again. And from there, that was like 3 years ago now. From there I've been, well, 2 years ago or something, or 1 year, I don't know, don't keep track anymore, feels like. But I was getting it was spring, and I was getting a little shock there from one of these molds, or what do you call them, moles. I don't have many, but I have had one sort of spot, which has since been palpable, even just only visual. But then all of a sudden, I guess I was doing a lot of sunbathing all of a sudden, because I started to have my meditation outside, and it's easy losing track of time there. So probably burn myself a bit and frequently. So, but combined with that, I ate a lot of pasta, like gluten-free pasta. But I had been eating a lot of pasta, like every night, loads of it, trying to fill up the calories with it. But I knew somewhere that this isn't the best health choice that I can make. But so the mole was increasing in, like, it became half a centimeter in height, and it felt pretty threatening, I guess, in a way, because people speak about cancer and that stuff. So just quickly, what I did there was I started with a mucusless diet for a while. Meanwhile, also putting some cannabis oil on it. And after like 2 weeks, something, it popped off. Never had a problem with it since. So I slowly went back to a more balanced diet. And no problem right now. But final conclusionary, can you say that? No, but anyways, conclusioning, maybe, insight has to do with something completely else, in a sense, than diet and all of these exterior things. But hold that thought. Third set. It has to do with rest. I could have mentioned on my list, like on the fresh air 24/7 thing, I could have included, and I sort of did maybe, but perfect sleep every night is probably a cure-all for some people. But I'm not talking about sleep, because whenever I've got a symptom throughout my life up till now, the knee-jerk reaction in my program has been, oh snap, something is wrong. I need to fix this. Well, what have I done? What have I done wrong? How can I prevent it for the future? All of this fear has been running the system. And what happens when we fear and stress too much, or at all? I mean, we shouldn't get rid of fear altogether, because that is an important emotion to have in the background to navigate life. But when it takes over, and like it did for me, it's stressing the system. The adrenal glands you're exerting cortisol or whatever that makes body into survival mode. One could say that I got panic, actually. Mild form, more chronically so. And it's been fulfilling the prophecy. That's all I can say about it, in a way. Because, when you think, oh, this might happen, it's sort of like a dream. I don't know if you have conscious dreams, or remember your dreams, but if you do, you probably recognize that, or many of you recognize that when you think something, oh, this might happen, then it does. So it's sort of 4-dimensional instant manifestation, and the scientific explanation of that, in this case, would be that I get stressed from my own mental pattern, and that creates the opposite of rest, and it breaks me down. Because when there is a threat, there is some bacteria, some mucus or whatever, some virus, some toxin that needs to be cleaned out. The body doesn't need stress, the body needs rest to help allocate the resources or recruit the resources to do that. So this is gonna sound pretty crazy, but the only thing that changed, and like I said, I haven't been sick now for 1.5 years or something, and I still eat pretty normally, except I eat pretty not normal in the way that I avoid poison and inflammatory foods. But I eat very balanced. I eat meat, fruit, and even slow carbs, and vegetables, and I should say I also I avoid vegetable oils as much as I can too, because it's been my own body noticing it that I'm getting gas from it, and some kind of thyroid stuff. But yeah, rest. Whenever I the program line, the code line has been symptom equals stress equals sick or something. I'm not a coder, but has changed to symptom rest equals not sick. So I can still get symptoms. I feel a little sore throat someday from some exceptions in my diet, or some exceptions in the air or something, or in sleep. Then I rest, on demand, I let go and relax. Then that symptom maximally lasts for the evening or a day, maybe 2 in rare occasions, which is incredible, because I was the best predictor before, like a doomsday predictor. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be sick, and then I was. So you could argue it's placebo as well, but more physiologically true, it would be because of the stress instead of the rest. And rest, as a final conclusion, along with love and light, that is the only thing that heals the body. And by the way, you can only fully rest after good exercise and stimulation, or that's a theory too. So you can't just go around and rest. You have to live life, and then sort of like the gym, you have the best relaxation afterwards. But yeah, what I mean by this it's kind of woo-woo, the love and light, but if you dig deep, probably that could be found to be true as well. But when it comes to the statement of rest is the only thing that heals also, basically. And it's because all these diets help you relax so that the body can do its own work, so that it doesn't have to focus on, well, digestion in many cases. But this can be very mental, like this video suggests too. Super psychologically manipulated in a good way. Look at what is your program whenever you get a symptom. Give your body and yourself rest as much as possible through healthy decisions like food, and even the lungs will probably rest with fresh air and that stuff. But don't overlook the rest that can be going on always with peace of mind and that stuff. And now I will continue my workout without worrying about my memory in the phone ending. So now we don't have to see this floppy hat anymore for a while. I lied, you have to see it one more time because I need to show this awesome spring weather. What I'm feeling now is a mixture of endless possibility and a need to limit that possibility so that it doesn't get overwhelming. Because you have to sort of sooner or later accept that you will never be able to do everything that you want or experience everything that you want. I will make a video sometime about how I have come to that conclusion and how I solved that. I have notes on it. It was quite a big thing because I was stressed because of too much possibilities and too much ideas and not enough time to fill it or like fulfill it and get on top of it. I felt, but I had to, as usual, go inside to find an answer that I didn't expect. So, but sort of did subconsciously. Yeah, peace. That's it. Full body worked out again. And I saved so much time recording on this video at the same time, so we'll see how that, if it's a good format, you'll see. Bye. Nice weekend if I upload today. It's Friday when I do this saying, but hey då.